go. A little bit later than I would have liked, hoped for. Um, but better late than never. Let's start the local recording. There we go. So here we go. This is Pete's Tech Den, show number 30. We made it to 30. As filmed on December 15th, 2015. Here we talk about how to take old tech and reuse it, particularly in a lot of that stuff is focusing on like old computers and taking those and repurposing them for new purposes and doing all kinds of just super cool stuff with technology, but doing it cheaply. So sometimes, it's delving into old technology. Sometimes it's just looking at new technology, but, ways that we do it cheap. And then occasionally we'll take an episode and we'll dive into some of the moral issues that come along with technology and how we're using it. Always have fun discussions around those. I don't know, I feel like some of the times those are the best shows. Had some great discussions. Like, if you go back to show number 1, first show, I had a friend of mine, Colton Mann, on the show, and we discussed, could we ever develop technology that would, surpass humans? And that was a great discussion. I would highly recommend going out and watching that one. That one was, it was really good. Just a good perspective. I will say, always coming from a Christian perspective, as being a Christian, that being important, and that definitely played a role in that discussion. I think if you're a Christian, it's got, it's the Bible. The Bible talks to all things. So, but tonight we're gonna do kind of kind of an intro show into some of the stuff we're gonna be talking about later down the road as I get some things. But in the area of home automation, and trying to tackle that issue from, trying to do it with not spending a ton of money, which can be hard because it's very easy to spend a lot of money when you start going into that. But we're gonna try not to. And so I kind of something I forget. I kind of entered into this. I've been kind of like going back and forth, back and forth. I looked at one Kickstarter for a way to implement some of the higher end features with the lower end technology. Didn't end up going in on it. But well, we're gonna talk about that later. But kind of started this. Something I think about there's times where it's like, it'd be really nice if I had that on a smart plug where I could just, instead of crawling behind the couch trying to plug in a power cable, I could just go, oh, let's pull out my phone and go boop. So I was like, oh, that'd be really nice. And then recently I got involved in a Kickstarter. Another Kickstarter supporting that one. We'll get to that later. So we're just gonna go from there. We're gonna dive in, because I guess the crucial part of doing home automation, especially if you're gonna try to do things where you may not be doing, like, say, you're not just doing lights or just doing smart outlets, where you're not just delving into it in one area, but you want to try to implement things across, where you're doing power and lighting and maybe some security, trying to do a bunch of different things, um, where you kind of want to be able to have it so that, like, well, if maybe it detects when I'm coming home. Okay, now it's gonna turn the lights on. It's gonna maybe adjust the thermostat, and it's gonna maybe turn on this light, and or maybe it's gonna turn on a TV or something like that. Um, or maybe go and watch something on the TV and press a button, and it you know turns on the TV, and it maybe ejects, I don't know, ejects the CD tray for putting in the disc in, and then lowers the lights, or there's really all kinds of possibilities for when you get into it. Um, but the big thing is when you're trying to bring a bunch of those things together is you need to have that like central control unit or hub, as I kind of think of it. And so I've been kind of looking at some things. I know you can just kind of sum. A lot of the options I've been looking at have been like trying to do it like maybe so something open source, and found several of those kinds of things, from it's like OpenHab, Home Assistant, Home Seer. Just really, one thing I really wanted was like something that would allow me to control everything, but isn't gonna lock me into only having to use one brand. And so it's just been trying to, sort through the things and like figure out, what can I use, you know, what thing would have like maybe the most options, looking at like user interface, what's that, how is that gonna work, without ever having tried it yet. So it's like, it's trying to figure this out, which is why this is the beginning of a journey. Um, so uh, it's definitely not. It's gonna be a few months down the road, or we'll keep touching on this and exploring the route that things started to go. But I looked at some things like Samsung has a smart things, which I mean it's a decent system. I mean in having it allows you to bring in a bunch of different things, um, and not just rely on a specific brand. Let me pull it. The problem with the Smart Things hub is it's expensive, which kind of goes, I mean, at least in my book, I look at it and I go, that's expensive, because just for the hub, central hub, you're looking at $100, and so I was like, there are pluses and minuses to it. I mean, the minus is just the price, and it's nice because it's gonna interact with a lot of different um, devices. But and the other positive was that, okay, I guess I'm just gonna jump to it. The Kickstarter that I supported and got in on, was for this device called Mycroft. Um, it's kind of like an open source version of the uh, Amazon Echo. And the things that it integrates with, one of them is smart things. Which, because it's like, when you have like that audio interface, you want to be able to use it to control your smart stuff, your home automation. You want to be able to use it kind of as one of your control things. And at least right now, kind of smart things is really the only kind of like central hub. Although it does allow you to control things like Wemo, uh, like Wemo, like Netflix, like YouTube, Spotify, Plex, um, Pandora, Roku, Smart Things, Nest, Iris. So a bunch of those, big things, and it's like, that's all and good, but it's like I mean, really, that right now, like the only hub it supports is Smart Things. I'm hoping that'll change by the time we get around. And so, I'd gone out and looking and doing some other things, trying to find some stuff. And started looking at some things like, there's like an open hab. I guess that's how I'm going with the pronunciation. But it's an open source project that is basically the home automation that would you know be the kind of the backbone of your system, and then it will allow you to control a bunch of different things. I mean, you can pull up here supported platforms. No, supported technologies. But it allows you to you could use it with Asterix, the PBX system. And, it works with Bluetooth and Cups printer. That'd be kind of interesting because I do have a Cups print server. It can work with DMX, Dropbox, DSC Alarm. Some of the bigger names like Ecobee, Epson Projector. I can work with FreeSwitch, Google Calendar. I worked with HTTP. I can work with Insteon, the Insteon hub. Try and look through here and see what the big names. And you work with Nest. Work with your network UPSs, which is kind of interesting to see what it could do with those. Onkyo AV receivers, Open Paths, which I believe that something about it has to do with your locations. Pioneer AV receivers, Plex, Samsung TV, just trying Tesla Motors. Wow, Sonos, Twitter, the Belkin Wemo, XBMC, which becomes Kodi. I've heard. So I also worked with Z-Base. So it works with all kinds of stuff. Which is kind of like, I guess, as I looked at things, I looked at kind of my, like what are the criteria for what I want. I was like, one, it's got to be cheap. So I feel like, I don't know, I almost want it to be something where it's kind of like rolling my own solution kind of a thing, where I'm, where it's probably going to be some kind of software where I download it and install it and, build like my home automation server. And that's there to be just running that. It needs to be able to interface with a lot of different technologies. I don't want to be locked into a single brand. Just because, I want to have my options open so I can kind of go with what's cheapest. Um, and the other big one I think is really is got to have IFT integration, which is if this then that. Super powerful. Super powerful automation that's not limited to home automation. I mean, it's something I'm already using. I've got a few recipes out there using it for some different things. One thing I use it for the show. I've got it set up so I think the way I think I've got it set up right now is I have WordPress and my YouTube channel linked so that whatever gets posted whenever I upload a new video, it just automatically posts it over on WordPress. But the thing originally, you can set IFT up to do that. But the other thing is, right now I got it set up so when I create a new video, it automatically posts that video up onto the YouTube. Not YouTube. When a new video gets posted to YouTube, it automatically creates a post up on the Facebook page. So that just happens automatically, which is super nice because you don't have to worry about it if it's happening or not. See some of the other things I've been doing. I got it set up. I don't know. I mean, it's not. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, this might be kind of interesting, and set it up, and then now it's there, and I don't know exactly how useful it is, but I set it up so like, if I miss a phone call, it just automatically sends me an email about the phone call I missed, like what time, phone numbers, that kind of stuff, which can be kind of nice. I also use it because I go to Chick-fil-A a bunch, so I set it up so that it just logs on the calendar every time I go to that Chick-fil-A. It's set up based on like location, so that when I go in there, enter in that location, it just automatically logs it. Which I mean, for the most part, it works pretty good. Recently, I feel like it's been working really well. I also at one point had set up the whole location thing so that like when I went to church, when I entered the area, it would just automatically mute my phone. And then when I exited the area, it would automatically bring my phone back up. That's not as... it's one of those things where it's like, when I first set it up, it was really cool and awesome. Now that I got this guy, when this guy is connected, it just... Actually, I think I have it set up. It's one of my recipes. Yeah. So that when this guy is connected to the phone, just mutes the ringtone. And so, well, I'm wearing this guy when I go to church. So now what I have to do is I have to see if I can do this without... no, going the wrong way. I have to do that. And then... there we go. Now, notifications are muted. I just don't even see them. So, it's just one of those things where, it's got, those are just a fraction of the things it allows you to do. So it's like, I feel like that's something that's like, it's almost like, I kind of want, Because usually usually when you like buy like smart things or something where it's especially with the version 2, um, well, version 1, pretty much all of the processing of your when events and stuff would happen and it would trigger stuff, pretty much all the processing was happening in the cloud. Well, what happens if that's happening? Well, the internet goes down and your home automation goes down. And so that can be a problem. So in their version 2, they just released what you would buy. Uh, they're trying to do more of the processing locally, but still sending them some stuff to the cloud. I kind of want to create some stuff to where you can kind of maximize both worlds, and have maybe like a local device server that would basically run things, and they wouldn't care. It would be so the internet went down. I don't care. I just keep doing things. And so that's kind of cool. But then there's things with the cloud that you can, you know, do stuff, based on location, or pulling in some cloud services and stuff to do some stuff. And that would be cool to have too. So it's kind of like, well, if I can have a local server that does stuff, and then pair it with IFT, I can get the best of both worlds. So I feel like that's kind of I think those are my 3 criteria, at least for now. I may find some more as we continue on through this process. But yeah, even if you set it up with your phone and stuff, and do all kinds of things. That alone doesn't cost anything. Would be, is a great tool. I would strongly suggest you go take a look at it and do a lot of cool things. You can use it to back up photos up to, I think I was just looking at their channels beforehand, because they kind of have it, channels for what things it interacts with. I bet now, because when I originally set it up, they've added a lot of channels since then. But yeah, I would just use, I just have it like upload my photos, just I'll sync them up to Google Drive. But now they've got all kinds of stuff. Let me see if I can find. But they've got Dropbox, they've got Amazon Cloud Drive, Google Drive. I think those are the 3. OneDrive, they got OneDrive too. That's one thing. You can also have them like backup contacts, which is always nice to make sure you don't lose those. But yeah, just all kinds of good stuff there. And of course, you can use it to control things like on your Android or iOS. They have both. You can do things based on time or weather. There's all kinds of stuff out there. I would just go out there and explore it and see what you can do with it. Might find some surprises there. But yeah, awesome. I'm gonna drop a lot of these links in the show notes, which I'm way behind on. So I will. Hopefully, I'll put some work. I'll put some work in it this weekend and try to get a bunch of the stuff up. It shouldn't be terribly hard. But yeah, so those are kind of some of my criteria. So I mean, we talked about, I found OpenHab, which is definitely an interesting solution. Um, just trying to look at something here. Um, so it's OpenHab. There's Home Assistant, which I don't. Just thinking about it now and thinking through this, I'm not sure that it has. No, it is. Yeah, it has the. Uh, it has IFT integration, and it has just it just supports a bunch of stuff. Uh, looks like they have some pretty good uh, pretty good tutorials, some stuff to at least get you started. But yeah, they kind of all kinds of stuff. They support the Hue lights, again, Nest, Wemo. They can use in control using Raspberry Pi switch controls and sensors. It's kind of interesting to get into some of the do presence detection based, using, routers and stuff. Um, they can do control your media player, iTunes, Kodi, Google Cast, Plex, Sonos, Logitech Squeezebox. They can also do, camera stuff. IP cameras, FOSS cams. They can also do system monitoring. Wow. They can interact with some hubs, Z-Wave, Vera, Telstick, Wink. And then they all got all kinds of services. They can interact with IFT, which is important. They got a couple of weather stuff. They can simulate key presses on a host machine. Okay, that might be. I don't know what I think about that. They can interact with Telegram, email, push bullet, push over, Insta push, notify my Android. But I remember looking coming down between Home Assistant and OpenHab kind of initially. But I forget why. Oh yeah, I forgot like what was. I just look at Home Assistant. It looks pretty good, but it's like there was something. There was something that I liked OpenHab more about. I should have written it down, but I think I feel like DMX was maybe one of them because I thought that might be kind of interesting to be able to interact with stuff. And maybe the phone lines might be kind of interesting. I don't know. Well, I guess it'll be something we'll explore as go down the road. So there were those. Tonight I was looking around and I was looking up one of the links, stumbled across a website, and ended up looking at um, this other one called Home Seer, which also looked very interesting because, well, I just kind of briefly looked at this, and it does support if, which is one of the big criteria. You can actually buy it by your kind of your server or like your hub. Or you can just download the software and install it for yourself. And I was looking down here at the devices, and they're like, controller for every need and budget. And they obviously have some more powerful ones, but the bottom one is it has that distinctive look of the Raspberry Pi 2 with the 4 USB ports next to an Ethernet port, and so it's like, boom. I looked in their software downloads. They've actually got a download for it's the Home Seer 3 for the Raspberry Pi 2. So it's like, I mean, that would be super cool. I mean, you could just buy a Raspberry Pi 2, install this, and you'd be off and running. Um, and that would just be awesome. And then I looked at compatible products, and of course they cover a lot of stuff. Kind of the big ones, it does support the Philips Hue, the Belkin Wemo. Going through, trying to look at some of the bigger Insteon, GE. Those are probably some of the big lighting. They also support, Ecobee and Honeywell and Nest, all in the thermostat area. They support pretty much all of, a bunch of the door locks from, Cute, Quickset, Baldwin, Polylock, Vision, Yale. They support, garage door openers. They support cameras, Homeboy, Manything, Cameo, Foscam, Blue Iris face recognition. They support, all kinds of, security systems from the DSC, GE, MyFox, iSecurity Plus, iSmart Alarm, Scout. They support, GE in the appliances plus other things. They support all kinds of sensors, just, I mean, sensors and water management and shades and blinds, and they do support the Amazon Echo, as in beta. They work with Acoustic Magic. That'd be kind of interesting. I was kind of wondering what they would. They also interact with Way to Call, which is a telephone interface. They do AV and media. They do Logitech. In the infrared controllers, and the AV receivers, they do Onkyo. I'm not sure whether I'm pronouncing that right. Pioneer, Dion. They do Sonos, Roast Sound. They interact with XBMC, Windows Media Player, Apple iTunes, TiVo. They do stuff with energy management. They interact with the weather. I got several of those. They do automobile through dash, automatic. They interact with fitness and wearables. Misfit, Fitbit, Jawbone, Whistle with things. They do some stuff with pool slash spa control. So they interact with a lot of stuff. So in a way, I mean, it's like they really do cross off those three requirements, where they're interacting with tons of devices and stuff. I mean, cheap, and then also interact with an IFT, which is it's kind of like three criteria that I made right now. So obviously, I'm gonna probably make a decision as I get closer. I'm probably gonna. I'd really like to be able to use something like Home Seer, Home Assistant, OpenHab, but some of it's gonna be integration with Mycroft, which I think was another part of your another part of your home automation is you can use that hub and be able to program stuff to have it automatically do some stuff, but you're also going to need some kind of way to interact with it, with those things that kind of are out of the ordinary, that aren't necessarily planned. And what are you gonna, how are you gonna be able to interact with it then? I mean, obviously, most systems. I think when I looked, I think OpenHab was the only one that I noticed. Although I haven't checked for Home Seer. You can have like a application on your smartphone, but it can be kind of troublesome to be pulling your smartphone, entering your code to unlock your phone, and then open the app, and then get to whatever menu you need to. And one way I've heard from other people who've gotten stuff, like, it's super nice, is to be able to interact with it on a voice level. I know several people that have gotten Amazon Echoes, which are super nice, but they are also super expensive. They're like $180. Yeah, and I mean, just personally, I don't see them ever, you know, putting in integration for some kind of open source hub system. So I kind of jumped on this Kickstarter for Minecraft, um, which is basically an open source. It's kind of like an open source version of the Amazon Echo. And like I said earlier, right now it interacts with some of those closed source proprietary systems, in particular smart things. I picked it up in the Kickstarter campaign, which is actually over now, for $100 is what they got in on it. So about $80 cheaper. I know the the post Kickstarter price is like $129. Although right now, I'm checking on this right now. They have actually already finished on Indiegogo too. So right now you're pretty much looking at $129. is the price to get one. To get like just basically your basic model, I think is the 129. But I mean, it does that voice integration. And the cool thing is they're actually going to bring Minecraft to Linux desktop, and to the Linux phone, which would be Ubuntu Touch, I believe is the one that they're working with. So that's going to be super cool, especially if, you know, you could set it up such that, I mean, you could put it on a computer. So, I mean, I'm getting the one device, but then I could also put it on other things and have, to where I could talk to more than just that one location. So that would be kind of interesting. And that is not coming until July, I believe it is, of 2016. I just want to double check on my timing. Yeah, July of 2016. So this is, that was what really kind of started it. I was trying to think about, like, what can I do, because it's like, well, there's some cool stuff I could do with Minecraft without automating my home, but the real advantage of having something like that is being able to interact with, if you're smart, your automated home. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, and so it's going to be kind of that process up to that time as I figure out what things are going to, what kind of integrations are they going to add by that time. So it's maybe something like where it's like, well, I'll keep you posted. I mean, one of the interesting things that they, because I happened to catch an interview with them on another podcast, over on, okay, I'm trying to remember, because it's like a network, so they have like a bunch of different shows, and so it's like sometimes you're like, I don't remember whether I heard this on this show or this show, but the network is Duper Broadcasting. They do a lot of stuff with Linux, and open source and just in general. But what was it? Oh, they were talking about the interview. One of the things they were talking about was being able to basically kind of like give orders to like a drone, think like a quadcopter or something like that, with, from this, like, the example they gave where you might configure like a drone and give it like a pre-scripted flight path, to where you could say something like, Minecraft, mine just went blank. Minecraft, check the perimeter, and it would literally tell this drone to, basically take off and fly this flight pattern. So you could like have it, literally check the perimeter. You could, it's like, I don't know, like I just think about like things like what if you could, like, I don't know, get something where you could get like an automated, like, hatch in your roof or something like that, to where you could say like, Minecraft, check their perimeter, and like literally like the hatch would like just like open up on your roof, and like these drones would just come out and go to like like preset locations, and just like, be like checking for any kind of like motion, or I don't know, maybe by that point you could give them like, I don't know, infrared cameras or something, or thermal cameras to where they could just like looking for any kind of heat sources, and then like checking it based like on how big it is maybe, or oh, let's try to find the humans, and oh, maybe checking like a shape. I don't know what you could do with it, but it's like I don't know. I think about something like that, and it's like that sounds really awesome, really cool. But yeah, so that's something you just gotta have to keep your post on, because I don't know where that's gonna go. Um, the other thing is like I think it'd be really awesome, like if they were to integrate it to where you could like use it to control um, Cody, um, which would be awesome. I mean, I was just thinking like some of the integrations that like if you're paying attention to the Apple release with their Apple TV, being able to tell it to skip back and forth or look for different things to watch. That's kind of some of the stuff. Cause I mean, there's been times where I've been using GoNo and it's like um, this one. There's a remote app that I use with it, the Yahtzee, which I think is YATZ. I think if I remember correct. I think it's YATZE. I think is how it's spelled, but I'd have to check that. It's got a place in there where you can give it basically voice commands to your phone, and it's like that's nice. But then you have to get out your phone and go through all that process, and by then you're just like, okay, just let me do it. I just want it done, and you're trying to figure out what the commands are and that kind of stuff. Um, but if you could just go Minecraft, play uh, play Mash or something like that, and it would just like play the um, I don't know if a late play like a unplayed um, version episode of Mash. That would be pretty cool. Pretty cool. But we'll have to see. Cause I'd really like to be able to drop the initial device right, just drop it onto uh, uh, drop it in the living room, right there by the TV, probably like right underneath the TV, be where on the shelf on top of the computer. So I mean that's the one thing was like that'd be really nice if it would do that. Also kind of interested to see, especially when you bring it onto the computer, what kind of integrations does it provide there? Because I know, as you know, I've talked about Cortana, um, and just like some of the things that I'd like to see able to do, like being able to shut down the computer or open a program. Those would be things that would be really nice to be able to do. Um, be interesting to see if like you could do some. I don't even know if you could do this. Like I'm just like dreaming, uh, to where you could have like instead of like a password to like authenticate against something, you could just say, like have like a phrase that you say that it checks your voice print against like a voice print in a file or something, where you could unlock things with. That would be kind of interesting. I don't know. That's just one of those things out there. Just popped into my head as I was thinking about it. But I mean, wow, our time has flown by. But and we kind of last um thing is like looking at like what kind of systems you're going to use to kind of automate the processes, like for lights. There's like seems kind of like pretty much there's like either like Wemo or Hue. Wemo also does outlets. If I get to that point where I do like automate like lights, I mean I may just go. I know like people that have gotten and really like the Hughes. I think the Wemos are just a little bit cheaper. Let me just pull this up here. Um, Although I feel like right now, at least, um, lighting is probably on the bottom of the list, just because most of my lighting is these, like the two bulbs and the in the ceiling, which obviously no one's really come up with any kind of automation for those. Probably most people are just like, let them go away. um, but I did hear of like one person who put like a color bulb, or you could do colors like outside of the door of like where they would do the recording for podcasts, so that they could like literally basically turn on the recording light, kind of a thing. And that would, it's like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. Okay, so there's see if yeah, the Wemos are just a little bit cheaper. I like remembered correctly. I mean, you can get a pretty let's see, you get a pretty similar setup where you're getting two bulbs and the bridge, um, and you can get the hue lux, which is supposed to be white, um, for $80 for that. Or you can basically do the same thing with the Wemos, where it's just white again. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're just white. But it's, the two bulbs again for the bridge. Instead of you're paying 45, so it's almost half the cost. And so, like, at least right now, I think I'd probably give the Wemos a try, cause 50% less is that's a good chunk there. So there's those. The one that I find kind of a little bit more interesting is the Kickstarter that I didn't end up support, and I may go back and buy from them anyways. But it's this system called Hook, and what Hook is kind of ironically, when I went to look up the Kickstarter, it's like, oh, I should mention that, because when you're thinking home animation on a budget, this device is basically what it is. I mean, considering that you pull up their Kickstarter campaign and it literally says, I mean, I didn't plan this at all. It says Hook : home automation on a budget. So literally right up the alley. And basically what it is you have these, like, the cheaper, they're kind of basically the cheap version of home automation. I mean, you've seen them. They do it via RF, so radio frequency, and they come with a little remote, and that's how you control it. Well, what Hook does is it creates an interface that like you basically you set up the hook, and then you have to go through and you punch the buttons on the remote once, and the hook basically picks up. Okay, that's what frequencies they're using and how they control them. Okay, now the hook can control them, and you can control it through, either the app, or they, or you can control them using IFT. But it's a lot cheaper because the hook calls. Let's see. I think the I guess the one downside to it, at least at this moment, um, is the fact that unless you're going to control it from your smartphone, you kind of have you basically relying on IFT and that kind of that cloud. So if the internet went down, I guess you have to pull out your smartphone and turn your lights on that way. But it basically works with either they have something that you basically screw it. You basically it's something that like you screw this thing into your light socket, and then you would screw the bulb into that. So, I mean, the only thing is, like, if you had it in a light fixture, I feel like the bulbs would stick out, like that much further, and at least from the aesthetic part, probably wouldn't look that great. But they have those, and then they have, you know, something you plug into the outlet, and then you plug your thing into that, and that would basically control the outlet. But the super nice thing is like, for like the outlets, you can get like 5 of them for $30. For the bulb ones, you can get 3 of them for 19. So you're talking about super cheap. I mean, when you're you're looking at that part. Um, just super super nice. But I was just looking because I think I feel like it's somewhere between. I think it's like 30. I think it's like 40. I think it's like $40 for the actual little like hook hub system. Um, so and I mean, I guess like the one like super nice thing about with the bulb thing is like you don't have to keep buying like with like Wemo or Hue. The smart part of it is in the bulb, and so you're always having to buy that smart stuff again and again and again. That means the bulbs cost more. With Hook, you buy the smart part, and then you buy whatever bulb you want, and you don't have to keep buying the smart thing anymore, which can be kind of nice. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the beginning of this journey. I'm sure we're gonna have more things, especially as I start looking into things like, um, like how am I gonna do? Like, I think presence is a big thing. Being able to tell like when I'm home and when you know when there's 2 of me, one of me, and one of my roommate, and you know being able to tell when uh, both of us are gone, not just one. Um, and then, things like I definitely want to get some kind of security stuff. I know I do have one IP camera, which I'm hoping to be able to use, but lighting, and then how do I interact with like Cody for home automation. I think that's going to be, I think it's something I'd really like to be able to do. Um, and then of course, how do I get this? How do I get Minecraft to fit into the system and work the way I want it to? Um, and then of course, always doing it on a budget, not spending a whole lot of money. So this episode went longer than I was expecting. Although I guess we started late, so still about an hour. But that's what we're doing. That's the beginning of the journey down the road. There will be more stops. But hopefully it's provided you some good information, maybe some stuff to start thinking about. I know, like, at least for me personally, I'm focusing on a lot of this stuff where it's not something I'm putting into the house. It's something where I can just kind of put it there, and then, because I live in an apartment, when comes to leave, it comes with me. I want to be able to move it to the next place. Um, and it'd be really cool if I could take like maybe an old computer and turn it into my home automation hub, which I feel like it's either going to be that or it's going to be a Raspberry Pi. That's just the way it's going to be. I hope. I tried to put out some kind of feelers with Minecraft, trying to see if I could get a gauge on whether they would support something like that. At least I think it did. Actually, I'm thinking that I thought about doing it, but I didn't do it, which means I need to do it. I felt like I thought about it and I was like, well, I want to do some more research. So I may install some of the systems and just take a look around and decide, and then maybe ask. But we will see. And this weekend, I'm going to work on the show notes for past episodes, try to get caught up. Also, right before I go, just a reminder, tomorrow, 8 o'clock a.m., episode 0 of the Light of the World study show is going on. First episode is going to be, episode 0 is going to be similar to episode 0 of this show. A little bit different, though, as we talk about kind of my passion for that show. It's going to be awesome. Probably going to get some Bible stuff at the end, just because, I don't know, there's some things like, I just want to talk about this. And it's like, well, they're small little things, and so maybe I'll just throw in a couple lessons there at the end. But you got to come. You got to come out. Go to lightoftheworldstudy.wordpress.com live page, or you can always find us out on YouTube. I believe the name of the show is LLSS01. If you just type that in, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. But yeah, tomorrow, 8 o'clock a.m. in the morning, I am going to get up and do some podcasting. But so we're going to have episode 0 there, and then I'm going to be gone for the next two Saturdays. So, as well as being gone for not next Friday, but the Friday after that. So, I believe that would be last Friday of October. So I won't have 1 week on, and then 3 weeks later will be show 1, and already have the topic picked out for that. I'm just gonna throw the title out because it's something I've been thinking about quite a bit recently, and I don't know, it's just awesome. But that one is going to be talking about the freeing nature of slavery. I'm leaving it at that. If you want to hear about that, you got to come out. And that one will be, let me quick look this up, make sure I'm telling you the right date. That will be November 7th at 8 a.m. That'll be an awesome show. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a blast. You're gonna wanna be there. That's what I'm just saying. And of course, the day before that, November 6th, we will be. The plan is not to be on YouTube that day. November 6th. I've been talking about. I talked about it last week. Hoping the plan is on that day to be over on Blab for one show, and doing in kind of a call-in episode. You'll be able to jump in, we'll be able to talk, and the idea is that you guys will bring any kind of projects you're trying to do, and you want to do it on a budget, cheap, and if I've got an answer there, I'll try to help out. Otherwise, we'll make an episode out of it and come back later, and talk about it. How quickly we get to those will depend on how many we have. And that's what's going to happen. So, lots of fun stuff. I'm also getting supposed to have some new cool, cheap technology coming in that we'll be definitely talking about in probably the next month or two. Also hoping to potentially draw in and get maybe some of the people who make them to come in and talk about it. It's going to be a blast. Yeah. So if you can't tell, things are really things are about to get super exciting, super fun. A bunch of cool stuff coming up. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I was somewhere around, like, I don't know, show 25, between, like, I don't know, between show 25 and show 27, like, I feel like it took that long for me to kind of get into, okay, what does it require, thinking through, okay, how prepared do I need to be? How many, what kind of notes do I need to be putting through, now I need to start, thinking about through, okay, how do I make sure that I keep up to date with, like, notes, and is there kind of like video editing I want to do on the back end, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's just exciting. It's exciting time. That's about to get into some super fun stuff. So you just gotta come and keep checking us out, and we will keep looking into ways to save money while, doing awesome things with technology. So, till next time, make sure when the dollars come out of your wallet, make sure that you are doing the most with them and having the biggest impact.